So as you're going to see, I kind of gambled, made a bet, and lost. As I'm driving around the North Woods, I find the highway gets wet here and there as scattered showers seem to dot the landscape. I made a bet that I could make it all the way to my campsite without having to put my cameras into waterproof cases. I thought maybe, just maybe, I could dodge the rain.
That looks like shit! That looks like shit! This looks like really bad. Well, it's starting to rain. I appear to be driving straight into this thing.
And then...
Shit. Ah, shit. Oh, God, no. No. I gotta pull over! But where?
It came down so hard and fast that the urge to pull over came immediately. There were no towns or overpasses I could safely park myself under, so I just pulled over where I could.
Shit! Just see it coming. God damn it. Alright, I gotta put this camera away.
I put the cameras into waterproof cases, and then I found my gear was getting absolutely downpoured on. In desperation, and this wasn't too smart, I pulled my motorcycle in nose first, under the branches of some roadside trees to keep my gear from getting further punishment from the storm. It was then that I'd found out that I was a little stuck. Backing out uphill on a motorcycle is already a challenge. Your knees and ankles are put under a lot of strain as you try to pull your entire motorcycle's weight uphill. Add about 50 plus pounds of moto camping gear and you can get yourself into a tough situation. Instead of backing up, I rocked Whatddya back and forward into a circle through the ditch, dodging logs and divots and trying really hard not to tip over. If I tipped over, the only way I'd be able to bring the motorcycle back up on two wheels would have been to completely disassemble the moto camping gear on the back and empty the saddlebags so that Whatddya would be light enough to tip back upward. Even then, a tipped motorcycle could be much worse if it tipped downhill than uphill, for example. I had to be extra careful. When I was finally back on the road, the humidity hit. You can see by the road steaming from all the hot rain and sun. I felt good about getting out of that situation, but I was really uncomfortable. The top half of my gear was also probably soaking wet. I'll need to seek out my campsite quickly before any more rain hits. And I'll just let you know that this is going to be a trend for the rest of this trip. I was a little upset that my gear got wet on the first day. I figured that it'd be wet for days based on this one quick shower, but as you'll eventually see, it didn't matter. The rain will return eventually again. When I got to Big Fork, the last stop on the edge of the wilderness highway to Effie, a town big enough to have the region's hospital, I put on my rain gear in case I ran into weather again. Looking around, there seemed to be blue skies. I finally arrived at the hunting land I'd be camping on. I drove in a ways to get my gear to a good spot. I've never been on this property in the summer. We typically only use it during deer hunting weekends in November, so there were a lot more bugs than I was used to. As you may have guessed, I looked at the skies off to the west, as normally one does in the Midwest, and saw more weather approaching. I set up my camera to get a time lapse of me setting up my tent, and you can see in the upper right hand corner there that the sky is getting darker and darker. and I made a decision. Instead of waiting out the rain in my tent, I would go to a bar nearby, the Junction Bar in Togo, Minnesota, to get dinner. And if you remember, I stopped here during my Iron Range episodes at the end of Season 3 as well. When I arrived, the rain hit again. Luckily this time, I didn't get caught up in it. I remember thinking at the time that this was going to be a minor setback and the weather could only improve from here. Rain is one of the biggest obstacles to a motocamper. Motocamping is mostly the challenge that it is because you're so exposed to the elements while doing it. Whether you're on 2 feet or 2 wheels, you're gonna run into weather. You have to go into motocamping understanding that it could be a good trip or an uncomfortable one. I'm waiting here for a friend who is going to show me something unique to the region, a genuine Russian Eastern Orthodox church that was completed in 1918, over 100 years ago. More on that next time on 2 Wheels, 1 Compass.